Hello boys and girls, and welcome back to my science lab. You might know me as Ms. Leonard, your student teacher, but you didn't know that I am also a scientist. So today we will be performing another experiment where we test the density of objects versus the density of water. Basically what that means is we are going to see if things float or sink when we put them in this jar of water. Our Pennsylvania State Standard for today's lesson is here. And if you want to follow along, you can have a glass of tap water, a marker, and a piece of paper to write down your observations, a bread tie, a penny, a paper clip, and a thumbtack. If you don't have these objects, or if you want to test the objects of what you have at home against the density of water, you can really throw anything into the cup. Also, if you want to test bigger objects, you could use a bowl, a sink, or even a bathtub. So before we begin, like our last experiments, we need to come up with our scientific question and also our hypothesis. So the scientific question today is this object more or less dense than water? Our hypothesis is going to be our educated guess on what we think will happen. Looking at these objects, I think that my penny and my thumbtack are heavy, so they're gonna sink in the water, I bet. I think that my paper clip and my bread tie are going to float because they are not very heavy. Let's see what happens. Okay, trial one. We are going to test our thumbtack. 3, 2, 1. It sunk, so we have to keep track of that on our observation sheet. Here I have my observation sheet. It is titled What Floats? And here I have thumbtack and a checkbox under yes and a checkbox under no. Did it float? No. Next, we are going to test our paperclip. Trial 2, paperclip. Here we go. 3, 2, 1, drop. Here on my observation sheet, I checked off no for paperclip because unlike my hypothesis, in actuality the paperclip did. Trial 3, we have the penny. What do you think will happen when I drop this penny into this jar of water? Here we go. 3, 2, 1, drop. The penny is clearly more dense than. No next to penny because it did not float. And looking at my observation sheet, I'm starting to think that nothing is less dense than water. Our last item is a bread tie. Let's see if it is true to my hypothesis and floats on the top of. Okay, our last trial is our bread tie. Do you think it will float at the top of the water? Or do you think it will sink to the bottom of the cup? Here we go. Got my bread tie. 3, 2, 1, drop. It also sunk to the bottom. Boys and girls, I was almost ready to say that nothing is less dense than water when I accidentally dropped my marker cap into my cup. And look at that, it floated. Even though in size it's much bigger than the penny or the bread tie, it floats at the top. So on my observation sheet, I said no for the bread tie, but I added a new bonus material and said yes, it does float. So our final thoughts on this experiment. Some things sink and some things float. And the density of an object or whether it will sink or float really doesn't have any correlation to the size of the object, because this marker cap, it's much taller than a penny, it's a little thicker than a penny, and yet it floats in mud. Okay, I hope you guys had fun following along at home. I hope you guys even try this experiment in a bigger container like a bathtub, or tried other objects other than my objects. Please keep doing science at home and stay safe.